Picture this. You've just jumped into a new job, leading a finance team. It's day one, you've got your coffee, you're about to meet your team, and you're trying to plan your first 3 months. You're a bit unsure about where to start, so you Google the AccountDads, the Ash, Hubert and Kevin pod, which you've subscribed to. Say no more, fam. We're here to help you. Welcome to the Ash, Hubert and Kevin pod, the AccountDads, a podcast for the finance and accounting leaders, strategizers, thinkers, and doers. You're talking about.
That's a good point. I don't know where.
Boys, welcome back. Episode 2 of the year. That scenario, I put it in front of you. You have just done that, Ash, a couple of months ago. What were your thoughts going into that first day meeting your team?
Well, it was how do I sort of, set the expectations with my team? How do I align it with the organization? How do I understand people? So it was all about what do I need to do to be successful day one? That was my whole take. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hubert, you tried to do that at the zoo, but you had animals to talk to instead of a team. How did you deal with it?
I think animals are much easier than dealing with people. So,
we're definitely going to clip that.
People leader.
But no, I agree. Look, day one, I guess just like we talked about last episode, just get rid of the ego, and just really understand. You get to know your team.
All right. So, lads, this episode is going to be a playbook for anyone that wants to do this. Let's start off with a couple of topics. So the first thing, what's the trap that new leaders fall into? What's something that you've done that you wish you hadn't and you've learned from, or something you've seen other leaders do that you wish they hadn't?
That's a nice tough question. I'll say, look, I traditionally, when I go in and I'll just start Ash branding things straight away, be like, hey, that's not how you do that. You do it my way, right? Like that's a poor way of doing it. So not really understanding context. Trying to create those, I want to use little air quotes, but quick wins everywhere, like this low-hanging fruit as such, just trying to find whatever I can grab and be like, yeah, I'm like worthy of my position straight away, and really not understanding context. So I just come in and go like, hey, like, no, we can do stuff way better. And then all of a sudden I've like dug myself into this massive pit and I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen that as well, where someone comes into a role, like they want to stamp their worthiness of their role and sort of want to make the change straight away. But it's like, mate, just take time, understand what we do here. We're not doing everything wrong here. Just sort of understand what we're doing. Look, things can be done better, but just first understand what we're doing and then start making your changes instead of just coming in changing everything already straight away. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always a tough one because you want to try and come in like you said, Ash, and do the politician tactic. Try and show why you deserve to be in the position you're in. But sometimes it's easy to forget and hard to remember that you don't have to put your ego in front. And also it's key to build relationships. Let's go back to this scenario. So we've heard some of the things that leaders fall into. You're walking into your first day as a finance leader. Now you can see straight away that there's competing priorities. The CFO that hired you says, well, these are the things that I want implemented in the first 3 months. You go and you talk to your team and they're saying, well, these are the challenges we have and this is what we need to resolve as a team. You talk to the general manager and they say, well, I feel like the accountants don't do anything. Where do you start? How do you juggle that as a person that's coming in and you've been thrown kind of a hospital pass?
Join the dots. So I come in, try to go top level. What are we trying to firstly achieve? Like what's the CFO got? And I'll also try to get the perspective of like what drove that idea almost. Like, hey, why do you think that's a great idea? As an example, understand with the team what their perspectives are and also some of the skill sets that they also have. Like, can they bring that vision to life as such the CFO wanted? With the general managers as an example, if we're talking operational general managers, like, what's been their experience or what is their future experience? Do they bring experience outside, the company as well? Or have they just lived and breathed inside that one company? I just try to get perspective. And once I get that perspective, it's like, all right, how do I formulate some sort of plan to see, is this possible or not possible? If it's possible, then like what avenues do we need to go down? If it's not possible, what do we need to do to figure out what the next step is, right? So it's just about creating that transparency and bridging those gaps, right? So, yeah.
We have gone a bit generic in a finance leader, but I think the other thing is as well, know your role. So if you're coming in as a financial controller, your job is to be a financial controller, which is, value protection. There's obviously a value creation aspect of your role as well, but value protection is very key for your role. So if that's your role and that's what you're hired to do, that's essentially something that you need to be on top of straight away. And if there's other people that's coming in and are trying to create that scope creep, you are a leader for a reason, and you need to be able to manage expectations just so you can do your job really well. Hubert, what have you seen that and on how people or leaders juggle expectations?
Well, I guess, yeah, you're right in the way that, so some people say, accountants, they're sort of not doing their part of the role properly, and you come to all saying where it's like, you got their side of the story, this side of the story, and then there's the truth in the middle, right? So I guess it's your sort of role to sort of see what both sides are complaining about, work out, like Ash was saying as well, you sort of got to put the pieces together and come with a solution that sort of will help both sides of the situation. And then, so that's sort of that is the difficult part, but I guess that's what, that's your role. And that's what you're paid to do.
I'll give you a real life example in that case. So like, I was in a data role previously, heading up a reporting insights function. So in that finance stream, in the sense of like that role traditionally sat in finance, but my interviews were all, hey, we need to do less customized reporting. And that was the whole remit. Like, oh, the team spent too much time doing customized reporting. Therefore, you need to standardize everything, put on, whatever BI platform we're on. Okay, no worries. Then I go find out from my new team that I've just gotten, hey, can you walk me through what you guys are doing for one report? And I found it was very, very painful to get data from the client via their laptop, a client's laptop. You have to transfer it to your laptop, your work laptop. Then you got to massage it in your, and then you got to email it back because there's no actual way these files transfer. And then you got to upload it. And I was like, this is madness. I'm like, and then I went up and I summarized what actually happened. And I'm like, hey, did you guys know this is what actually happened? They're like, oh, we weren't sure. Like, I'm like, right. It's like, oh, but we didn't agree to this. It's not part of our contract. Oh, okay, right. And then I go back to the team. I'm like, hey, do you guys realize it's not part of your contract? They go, we just got told, like, do this report, and therefore we have to deliver on it. Okay, geez, that's another problem. Okay, all right. So you're getting an unlimited request demand, and these guys are saying it's not part of the contract. So who's paying for this? No one, apparently. Okay, fine. So I'm like, let me join some of the. I'm like, okay, you're saying it's not part of the contract. You don't have any. Your response is that my stakeholders asked for something. I'm going to deliver. I'm like, okay, great, all right. So I'm like, my job then is going to be, how do we bridge this out? So when I just asked for the contract from the legal team, and I'm like, hey, can you send me the contract for that client? Got the contract, and there's a little bloody clause in there being like, we can demand reports at any point in time, as many times as we want, forever. And then I went back and I was like, you guys have clearly put this in your own contract as a selling point, and now the client's using it, and you're like, why is the client using it? I'm like, so now you got to figure out how do you better optimize that, right? And you may come back and say, hey, can we park it on the ad hoc request that there's too many now, or can we up your fee or whatever it is? But I'm like, we need to be recording some of this data now to figure out why it's painful. But it's definitely happened, right? And we've had to like really unravel what was going on, and there was a huge connect between management's expectations versus what was actually happening on the floor, right? So then we got to a stage of like, hey, can we tighten up processes around the existing method, and are there alternative ways which you can get cleaner data? But it was a really interesting case that I had to go through myself.
Nice, good find, bro. They to this day they're still creating reports. Unpopular but important truths. Can you guys think of any? I'll add one. I'll add two. Number one, your team isn't always right. In fact, more often than not, you can probably empathize with their point of view, but they're probably not always right. So I think as leaders, and this is a mistake I've made because I like to be liked and like to be the popular leader, but I've tried to listen to my team and try to do things that they wanted. But more often than not, there's things that they think are important that aren't always right. That's my first one. Number two, the people that hire you probably have the best view of the business and probably should deserve your attention for the first 3 months. So this is, again, learned this the hard way. where you go and you try to change too much and you think, oh, I'm a big shot. I kind of know what I'm doing. So I'm going to come in and create change and start to push back on things very early. But more often than not, there's probably a time to do that, and it's not your first 3 months because you've just joined a business. You're just trying to understand the business. You're trying to understand the needs of the people that have hired you into this role, and that should be your focus for the first 3 months. Any other unpopular points that are true that you guys can share to the new finance leader who is about to sit in on that first day?
So your points are around fully, I don't know, believing and acknowledging all the pain points, or is it more around just acknowledging their wish list? What was your point more around?
As in,
For,
for
for
my
your
second
for
point,
your first point. Yeah.
well,
Like listening to your team.
yeah, I mean, pain points. Like you can always listen to their pain points, but you don't have to fix it.
Yeah. Okay,
Because
gotcha.
sometimes pain points are pain points, and until you understand the whole landscape, there's no point going in and making that your first task just to be liked, which is very common thing because you want to build relationship and trust with your team straight away.
Yeah, I like to figure out pain points actually. So I like to figure out pain points. I also like to see, is it common across team members? So in this case, like where the last few roles I've had quite large teams, figure out, is this a common problem across everyone? And if it's a common problem for just my team, then I go and ask the stakeholders of that other, like, let's say their report outputs, is it a common problem for you guys as well? And I try to figure out like how big a stemming problem is this thing, right? And sometimes it's inherent to the company, so I'll come back and say this can't be fixed. But if something that we're like looking towards and there's appetite for, I'm like, this could change, but it's not a 2-week process or a 3-month project or even a 6-month. This is a full-blown 2-year full-time gig for somebody to fix themselves. I just want to be clear, like this is not an easy like Control Alt Delete, let's repaste a new thing, and this is a full-blown massive thing. And that's when it sort of sets in everyone like, oh, can we chuck more money at it? No, you cannot. This takes time to fix. And that's when people start getting that reality. I'm like, this is where you're the high paid individual because you understand, hey, you're not, you can't just, you're not a startup anymore, right? You're a bigger beast of a company. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think in that same example as well, particularly in dealing with people, part of your role as a leader is to understand is the problem that they're having, firstly a business problem, but also a will problem or a skill problem. Sometimes you'll find the kind of the situation that you don't want, which is they don't have the skill and they don't have the will to try and improve it. And so at that time, you're like, okay, do I really want this person in my team? Obviously, they're doing their role, but is that someone that is going to help me in my team, particularly if I'm going to make all these grand plans and create an impact in this business? And so very early, you can start to kind of build a bit of I don't like to say a list, like it's a elimination list, but you can start to see your your A players, your B players, because the A players are the ones that you need to be leaning heavily on to hopefully lift the rest of your team up as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I've seen that firsthand as well, where you can have that ability to like have your plan, like who you're going to run ideas and contests for versus the ones who just need the grunt work done, right? And I've seen that it's always the best teams I've had. You've had a combination of people like that.
Yeah.
The ones who are just the doers come and do the stuff, and you've had the ones who are the more ambitious types, the more curious types, and the ones who go, yeah, mate, let's give that a shot. Let's even if they've been burnt a few times, they're like, let's try it again. And I'm like, those are the ones I'm like, we can actually take something like a goal and actually make it actionable, right? And start transferring stuff or conceptually try things, right? So
yeah,
I think it's pretty exciting when you can actually stumble across that stuff. Yeah.
All right. So if you're talking painful truths, I think one other thing when you come into a business, you gotta accept there's going to be limitations on the systems, limitation on processes, limitations on people, and the faster you get on top of those, I think the easier you can make changes and and sort of make a real impact. So I think you have to accept there's going to be limitations, and you got to somehow work around that. And first understand it, then work around it.
That's why you hire Hubert and Ash and Kevin, right? Because there are only limitations once that happens, right? No, absolutely. I've not seen one company that's nailed everything, right? Like that's 100% that like the case. Some things are absolutely like a legacy problem. Some things are like they bought something that they fully didn't understand.
Mm.
And, you know, sometimes it's a pure skill thing, right? So like, yeah, it's a combination, but yeah, if you can come in and incrementally change things, yeah, absolutely. And I think depending on your career, for everyone's journey, that might be different, right? Like if you're early on in your career, you might come back and be like, hey, I can change the world. And when you go into the next, like, let's say the first decade of your career, you're sort of like, oh, look, I understand a bit more of the office politics. I understand what things I can, you know, swing, what things I can't. Let's say you're 2 decades into your career, you can sort of like, yeah, this is impossible. And then, you know, depending on what style it is, but you'll sort of understand, like, for me, I like to, sometimes it's quicker for me to go, hey, that's the old, draw a line in the sand, and we're going to do the new, just because I've seen how slow incremental changes are, and it's super painful, and you're trying to unwind years and years and years of work. So I'm like, hey, that's fine, we do it. Can we run a new process in parallel? Does that work as we need to? Let's run with a new version. That's personally worked for me quite well, but I've had to almost bridge two versions of things. And it's initially very painful, but I'm like, that's the only way I can hedge my bets on, is one going to work over the other. I don't like doing the stop-start approach because there's no contingency, like, at all, right? So yeah, it's not a great perspective to be in.
Mm. Would you be, if you just started as a finance leader, do you want to be the first person in, last person out? Is that an important thing these days?
Nah.
No, I don't think so.
I think
Here you have it,
trust.
guys. Go
No,
home
I
at 3
think
p.m.
I'm all up for flexibility. I get everyone's got a personal life, family life, whatever it is, right? I think for me it's about getting that trust with the person. Like, if they're saying they're doing their work and they're getting it done, what I wouldn't want to see is like somebody taking the piss effectively and not delivering those outputs. So I'd be like, hey, you've got that trust, don't burn it, because when you burn it, like, you're in a different set of criteria, and I'll be like watching you like a hawk, right? So I'll give, I think, everyone that olive branch initially. What's
I
been
think,
your perspectives?
well, I think the purpose of the question is, if you're coming in, your first or your second week is your team doing month end or something, and they're all staying back till 7 p.m. I think an easy way to build trust and relationship, and this, again, another unpopular opinion, is to stay back with them until 7 p.m. Even if there's a lot of stuff that you can't doing, but you're at least understanding, you're empathizing early with them, and you're going through that pain with them. And then the next month you can be like, all right, guys, you guys stay back till 7 p.m. I know you've been doing that for the last 24 months. We can't have this because I want to go home at 5 p.m. You want to go home at 5 p.m. How do we fix this? And so I think it's you kind of go in the wars together, and you're hoping that'll also be reciprocated, where they see you kind of sticking around trying to push something through, and they're like, how can I help? That's obviously the ideal scenario, but more often than not, they're like, see you later, I'm going home.
I agree with that. Yeah, if you want to be a good leader, I guess, yeah, if you're sort of with your team, battling with them, 100%, that you get you get them on side, and you're definitely going to be a much easier process.
Yeah. Cool. What's one important takeaway that you would help someone to hone in on them on their first 3 months? What's one thing, if you could send them a text message with 10 words, what would it be?
I'd say, what do you expect out of me? Yeah, is probably, that's the main thing I'm trying to get out. So what do you expect out of me? Because I
As in,
feel
that's
like
what you'd ask your team.
yeah. Because, like, usually what happens is, like, I've been in companies where the team have been burnt by prior managers, or there's been a lot of disruption and change, and they're just not sure. And I'm like, what do you need from me exactly? Because some people need a lot of attention, and some people just want hey, everything's all right. And, like, I'm like, what do you guys want? Right. And then how do I then, as a leader, adjust my style so then I can give you the fuel that you need, so then you can perform at your best. So that's been like a winning approach for me. Hubert?
Gold star.
Yeah, trying to think. Yeah, I guess for me, like, understand your team and understand your direction. So I guess, yeah. So if that's, you cover both sides.
Yeah. And for me, it would be, so again, this is harder for those with pessimistic personalities, but I would say stay positive as you can in your communication. a lot of times you get people come in and they hear how crap systems are, how tough people are, and they're like, wow, systems here are so rubbish. Wow, your data is so rubbish. Wow, really? That leader, the CFO said that? Oh, he's so tough. And after going through the wars and after having that negativity for the past however long people have worked there, sometimes a positive outlook is a breath of fresh air. And even if they sometimes see past it and they say, oh, how's this guy still positive after everything is broken down? I think it's really important because you are the beacon of light as this new person. You're the beacon of energy or enthusiasm that is being brought into this business for a reason. And so, in order to create this positivity going forward, you need to be that. I know this is very abstract and kind of airy fairy, but I think it's actually a very important thing. And if that rubs off on people around you, change becomes a much easier thing because it becomes a positive emotion rather than, oh, we suck so much or this is so crap and that's why we're changing it. So I think that's a pretty important thing to bring.
That's a really good one. I've probably not gone down the full positive path because of my personality type, but I've gone the pragmatic path for sure, right? So like, and similar to, it'll be like a positive pragmatic vibe. I'm like, hey, like if we're dealing with poor systems and processes, I'm like, hey, given the constraints we have, how do we improve it to the best of our ability, right? And that's what I'm like, hey, like there's no point of kicking and screaming about a whole brand new system when you're not going to get that. But what we can control is, hey, we're going to play in this landscape. How do we make it better so your life's not harder? And that's then just re-energize the team. But I've sort of come back and been like, hey, positive or not positive, I'm like, we're here to make your life better. How do we do that? And that's when people have just seen a radical shift from thinking of, hey, we just do what we do to, well, let's try a new approach. And I'm like, good. And I think I give people the freedom of failing, which I think a lot of managers don't. I think a lot of managers talk shit on that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, we accept failure. They do not accept failure because when push comes to shove, you don't want anyone trying new things and failing. For me, I've told my team, I'm like, give it a crack. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's the whole recursive programming, adjust and redo again. Move on, right? Because I'm like, at least now you've learned it and now we'll justify and figure out the next thing, right? But I'm like, you need to fail to figure out what works and what doesn't. And I'm giving you guys that freedom to do that. So go ahead and use it while you've got me, because like you won't get that luxury with a lot of other people, right? And it's actually, once again, massive rewards out of it, because the team have produced some absolute stellar things, which I had no idea was possible just because they went, oh, we'll just give it a crack. Oh, no, we're going to adjust some things. Before you know it, you've ended up with this full-blown magnificent thing. And I'm like, that was all because of a random hypothesis with a few bits of recursive programming still attached, and it just led to this amazing thing. So yeah, freedom to fail.
And I think with the freedom to fail, like if you can add a concrete example as well, Ash, on how leaders can do that, is you need to protect your team or be willing to protect your team if something stuffs up. People will say, or leaders will say, you should feel free to try things, but the first time something stuffs up, like, oh, he did that. He tried something and it fell through. But actually, you kind of need to put that ownership on yourself to say, sorry, that happened under my oversight. We didn't check something, but we'll make sure that next time it gets fixed up. And so you're not throwing people under the bus, and they feel freer to try things more and more often because they're like, okay, well, it's not a pointing finger exercise here. We all take accountability for our wins and losses together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, to be fair, like a few workplaces ago, I went a bit rogue with top management because they weren't up for that, the experimenting as such, but I wanted the team to continue trying stuff. So they carried on doing their regular jobs. And then internally, I'm like, once it's at a level I can tell management, I will tell, but I'm not going to tell them about my grand scheme because their appetite wasn't there. So I was like, this is an internal, Team Ash thing, not a, like a wider business thing to be known. Because as soon as you go, hey, we're experimenting a new approach to, let's say, improve financials or month-end close or data, accuracy, it's like the next day, it's like, where's that project up to? What's the ROI? What's this? And I'm like, holy crap, like we just conceptually thought this, like we're just trialing stuff. Like, can you write me a 10-page presentation on, whatever? And this is going out to like global because now everyone's like hung up on it. I'm like, this escalated really quickly. Like what this was meant to do was just give the team to try something new for a little bit, right? Like get them a bit, something exciting to do. And so for me, in that particular instance, I was like, we're not going to tell anyone. Try it when it's ready. Let's then show it. And once again, that for that particular company, that worked out really well. But for others, I think the current workplace, I think it's all about visibility and creating that transparency. So like way more open with upper management in that case. So it's been pretty interesting. So adjust it to what the organization wants.
Yeah.
Don't go cowboy like I do.
Well, guys, I hope you find that helpful. I hope you find that as a good playbook or a blueprint if you're just walking into a new role, leading a team as a finance leader. If you're a finance leader who wants to grow, learn, and lead better, hit that like and subscribe to this channel because we love sharing content like this, and join our community, the AccountDads community of leaders shaping the future of finance. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you on the next episode, team.